I don't want some washed-up old woman living here while I'm trying to raise my baby, Kayla said, eyes glued to her phone as she delivered the line like it was nothing. My son Malik nodded like a silent partner in betrayal. And just like that, something deep in me cracked. Not like a little heartbreak, more like glass slamming into concrete. You should start looking for a new spot, Ma, Malik added, like he was talking about the weather. He was sending his 62-year-old mother out into the world like I was just some leftover furniture. Now, if you're reading this, I appreciate you. Tap that subscribe button and tell me what city you're reading from. Anyway, here's how we got here. Half a year earlier, I sold my 2-bedroom bungalow in Baldwin Heights to help Malik and Kayla secure a down payment for their starter home. It's just for a little while, Mama, Malik had said when I agreed to move into the back room they'd converted for me. Just until we get our footing. Apparently, getting their footing meant showing me the door once I no longer fit into their picture-perfect plan. For 6 months, I lived in that makeshift room off the kitchen, part pantry, part laundry nook, part don't get in the way. I gave them rent money each month. I cooked most dinners, folded laundry, kept things moving while they stacked savings. I even helped Malik lay down laminate floors when they redid the den, a skill I picked up working alongside my late husband during our fixer-upper days. Kayla's pregnancy hadn't been easy, and I'd offered my help like a fool thinking I was needed. Turned out I wasn't needed. I was convenient. And where exactly am I supposed to go? I asked, voice steady even though my insides were shaking. Kayla finally looked up, her face hard as stone. Not really our concern, Denise. We need the extra space for the baby's room. Malik shifted, clearly uncomfortable but too spineless to stand up for me. There's plenty of senior living communities, he said, avoiding eye contact. They're nice. You'll meet people. Like I was some old relic ready to be shelved with others my age. I raised that boy solo. His daddy walked out when he was 5. I worked overtime cleaning offices and cashiering weekends just to keep a roof over our heads. And this was my thank you? But let me tell you something about being underestimated for most of your life. You get really good at hiding what you know. And I knew a lot. All right, I said calmly. I'll be gone by Saturday. Kayla smirked, satisfied. Malik let out a breath, like I'd given them the green light to breathe again. Neither of them noticed the quiet little smile that curled at the edge of my lips as I walked back to my room, the one they no longer wanted me in. 3 days later, I had keys to a cozy 1-bedroom on the west side of Layton. It wasn't flashy, but it was clean. Quiet. Mine. Watching their faces as the moving truck pulled up was priceless. You found a spot already? Malik asked, genuine shock in his voice. It's amazing what a determined woman can do, I said sweetly. They didn't need to know I'd been preparing for this since the first time Kayla rolled her eyes at me over burnt toast. This apartment wasn't a plan B. It was a promotion, and the financial maneuvering I'd been doing behind closed doors, that was about to become their problem soon enough. Saturday morning came with clear skies and that crisp energy that tells you change is in the air. I stood on the porch supervising the movers as they hauled out the last of my belongings, a worn bookshelf, a couple of chairs, my grandmother's china set. From the kitchen window, I saw Kayla watching, her arms crossed, face unreadable. Regret? Probably. Too little, too late. Malik came down the steps, trying to put on that soft, regretful son face. Mama, maybe we overreacted. If you still want to stay. No, baby. I cut him off, voice honey sweet. You both made it real clear how you felt. I wouldn't dream of staying where I'm not wanted. He looked like he wanted to say more, but I was already climbing into my car. My new place. Bright, clean, and drama-free. No side eyes from Kayla, no whispered phone calls where she called me extra or in the way. Just peace. I was setting up my bookshelf when my phone rang. Denise Taylor, a smooth voice asked, "This is Tanya Jackson from Brickstone Living. Just calling to confirm that everything checked out beautifully. Mr. Harmon is looking forward to having you join the property team." I smiled, leaned back into my chair. "Wonderful," I said. "When do we begin inspections?" "Tomorrow if you're free. Mr. Harmon wants to prioritize a property on Cedar Avenue. 982 Cedar." I blinked. My heart skipped. 982 Cedar Avenue. That was Malik and Kayla's house. "I'm more than familiar with the property," I said, letting the steel return to my voice. After I hung up, I poured myself a glass of wine, looked at the city lights from my new window, and raised my glass to the future. Here's to fresh starts. Because what my ungrateful son and his dismissive wife didn't know. I'd been talking to Calvin Harmon, a real estate investor with plans for Cedar Avenue, for weeks. And their house. It was first on the list. Sunday morning, I met Calvin Harmon outside a small cafe about 4 blocks from Cedar Avenue. He was tall, brown-skinned, early 50s maybe, dressed sharp with a polished confidence that let you know he didn't waste time. "Miss Taylor," he greeted, standing up and offering his hand. "Pleasure to finally meet face to face. I've reviewed your experience, and your insight on this neighborhood is exactly what we're looking for." We ordered coffee and spent the next hour talking shop. Calvin wasn't just buying houses. He had a real vision for the district. He wanted to elevate the neighborhood, new sidewalks, modern infrastructure, eco-friendly renovations. Property values would skyrocket. Great news if you were ready to sell. But if you were living beyond your means and holding on to code-violating upgrades, it would be a nightmare. "Now, about 982 Cedar," he said, flipping open a sleek tablet with property records and inspection notes. "You mentioned the current owners might be in a tight spot." I stirred sugar into my coffee slowly. "Young couple, first-time buyers. Their finances are stretched. The wife tends to spend. The husband's always buying new tech he can't afford. And their garage. They turned it into an extra bedroom. I doubt they got permits for that." Technically true. Malik's old friend, Kendrick, did the work. And if there were permits, they sure didn't pass through the city's office. Calvin's fingers danced over the tablet, making notes. "That aligns with what we've gathered. I'd like to extend them an offer today. Cash, clean title, no headaches." 2 hours later, I stood once again in front of the house I helped them buy, clipboard in hand, walking beside Mr. Calvin Harmon, the man about to change their lives whether they liked it or not. Through the front window, I saw Kayla in the kitchen. She froze when she spotted me outside. Her face morphed from confusion to something like dread. Malik answered the door. His t-shirt was wrinkled, his eyes puffy. He looked like sleep had been a stranger for days. "Can I help you?" he asked. Calvin stepped forward, all business. "Malik Green. I'm Calvin Harmon from Brickstone Living. This is Denise Taylor, our senior property advisor. We'd like to talk to you about your home." I watched Malik's face twist as he recognized me. His eyes flicked from my face to the clipboard, then back again. He looked like a man trying to wake up from a bad dream. "We'd like to present you with a business proposal," Calvin continued smoothly. "May we come in?" Kayla appeared behind him. Her belly was big now, her waddle pronounced. She paused when she saw me, then narrowed her eyes. "What the hell is she doing here?" Calvin glanced at her, then at me, clearly picking up on the tension. "I take it you all know each other?" "That's my mother-in-law," Kayla said tightly. I corrected gently. "I was asked to move out, remember?" I turned to Calvin. "Mr. Harmon offered me a consulting position. I mentioned this property might be ideal for development." The room went quiet, thick with confusion, shock, and something else, fear. Malik opened and closed his mouth like he had a million things to say but couldn't pick one. Kayla grabbed his arm, knuckles white. Calvin cleared his throat. "Why don't we sit down? This will only take a few minutes." We followed them into the living room, the same one where, 4 days ago, I was labeled useless. I sat in the plush chair they'd never let me use before. Funny how positions change. Calvin laid out the offer with precision. "I'm prepared to offer $460,000 in cash. You'd have 30 days to close, no strings attached." Kayla gasped. They'd paid $395,000 for the house just over a year ago, with my $35,000 helping cover the down payment. That offer was more than generous. Malik cleared his throat. That's a big number. But we're not looking to sell." "I understand," Calvin said, nodding. "However, I should let you know that this block has already been approved for redevelopment. City projects, water lines, new electrical, sewer upgrades. There will be noise, dust, major construction for at least 18 months. I saw Kayla's lips part as she did the math. Baby arriving soon, sleepless nights, constant jackhammers. It wasn't a good mix. "There's also something else," Calvin continued, casually flipping to another screen on his tablet. Our assessment shows several properties in this area have made unpermitted structural changes. If those changes are discovered during construction, it could lead to full code inspections and fines. Malik swallowed hard. Like the garage, he asked quietly. Exactly, Calvin said. City inspectors are thorough. If it's not up to code, you'll be required to fix it before permits for the neighborhood can proceed. Kayla's voice cracked. How long do we have to decide? Calvin checked his phone. We begin construction in 6 weeks. You have until Friday. 5 days. That's how long they had to figure out how to come up. Mama, Kayla was under stress, Malik offered, as if that excused it. You know how pregnancy can mess with emotions. Oh, don't you dare, I snapped. Don't blame this on hormones. Kayla showed me exactly who she was, and you, son? You showed me what you value. Another silence followed. Then, so what? This is revenge. You're trying to get us kicked out of our own home. I let out a long breath, feeling the fatigue of months I hadn't even realized I was carrying. The development was always coming, Malik. That man was going to buy up this block with, or without me. All I did was stop shielding you from reality. There was another long pause. What do you want from us? He asked softly. I don't want a damn thing, I said. Not anymore. I wanted respect. I wanted to be treated like someone who mattered. But that ship sailed. Mama, please. Kayla's due in just a few weeks. We need peace. We need stability. I cut in. She should have thought about that before biting the only hand trying to hold y'all up. I ended the call before he could respond. An hour later, the knock came. Through the peephole, I saw Kayla, mascara streaked, eyes red, belly round as the moon. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. I opened the door but didn't invite her in. Please, she blurted out, tears already spilling. I'm sorry. I messed up. I was stressed about the baby, and I took it out on you. I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. You didn't just take it out on me. You tossed me aside like I never mattered. I wasn't thinking clearly. Don't lie, I interrupted. You were thinking crystal clear. You made room for that nursery by erasing me. And Malik stood by while you did it. She started sobbing harder. We didn't mean to destroy everything. I studied her face for a long moment. I remembered every family dinner she forgot to invite me to. Every whisper to her friends that I overheard through the thin walls. Every time she called me extra behind my back. You didn't mean to destroy anything. But you did it anyway. What do you want? She asked. How do we fix this? And there it was. The question that changes everything. I tilted my head. You want to fix this? I asked slowly. You can't unbreak trust. You can't rewind time. Some things don't get patched up, they get replaced. Her mouth opened but no sound came out. You're crying now because you're scared, I continued. Not because you're sorry. I am sorry. No, you're desperate. Her hand moved instinctively to her belly. I could almost feel her panic. I sighed, the edge in my voice softening, but only slightly. Here's the truth, Kayla. That offer from Mr. Harmon, it's generous. If you take it, you'll walk away with money in your pocket. You'll find another home. Start fresh. We don't want another home, she said, voice trembling. We want our home. Then you should have acted like it mattered, instead of treating the woman who helped you buy it like she was some leftover furniture. Her eyes narrowed suddenly, the tears replaced by fire. What do you mean you protected us? You said something about that earlier. I gave a tight smile. Oh, honey, you think it's a coincidence Calvin Harmon showed up after I moved out? That he just happened to become interested in your street the same week I started my new job? She blinked. No, ma'am. I protected this house. You didn't even know. I kept the city off your backs. I plan to bring your garage conversion up to code quietly. I lined up a contractor. I was even going to pay for the permits myself, a gift. Kayla's face drained of color. You planned this, she whispered. I planned to protect you. Right up until the moment you made it clear you didn't want that protection anymore. A few minutes later, Malik burst into my apartment like a man on fire. You told Kayla you were working with that man from Brickstone before he ever came to our door? I didn't tell her anything, I said calmly. She asked a question. I answered it. You're trying to sabotage us. No, baby. Malik sat in stunned silence while Kayla paced the floor, her hands pressed against her belly like she was holding in the weight of all her choices. "I can still get the permits, you know," I said, soft but firm. "Still know the right contractor, still have a folder. But that's not my problem anymore." "You're seriously gonna leave us like this?" Kayla whispered, voice cracking. "We're about to have a baby. You left me," I reminded her. "And I didn't have anybody when I walked out of my home with nothing but a suitcase and my pride." Kayla sank onto the couch beside Malik. For the first time, they both looked completely defeated. The weight of what they'd thrown away, not just money or housing, but me, was finally sinking in. "I tried to warn you," I continued. "Back in February, I asked y'all about the garage permits. I offered help. You brushed me off like I was some nagging relative trying to stay relevant. All I wanted was to make sure you were protected. So you just gave up on us?" Malik asked, finally meeting my eyes. "No," I said, locking eyes with him. "You gave up on me." The next day brought a different kind of visitor. Through the peephole, I saw two familiar faces, Kayla's parents, Leonard and Roberta Carter. I hadn't seen them since the baby shower planning last year when Kayla forgot to invite me to the first two meetings. I opened the door slowly. "Leonard, Roberta, didn't expect y'all." "Denise," Roberta said with a soft smile. "We were hoping to talk. Is now a good time?" I stepped aside and let them in. We sat around my tiny dining table, and I made coffee, mostly for something to do with my hands. "We've heard there's a situation with the house," Leonard said, ever the polite one. "Chelsea called us crying." "Let me guess," I said, raising an eyebrow. "She told y'all I moved out because I got too emotional over a baby room." They looked at each other. "That was part of it," Roberta admitted. "She said there was a disagreement, that you were upset they needed more space." I stood, went to the kitchen, and pulled out that same manila folder. "You deserve the real story," I said, placing the papers on the table like evidence at a trial. 3 months ago, I received this from the city, and I tried to protect that house before any of this got ugly." They listened, quietly, respectfully, as I walked them through the timeline, the unpermitted garage, the ignored letters, the contractor I had lined up, the $8,000 I was ready to pay out of my own pocket as a final gift before I left. When I repeated what Kayla had said to me, "I don't want a useless old woman here while I'm pregnant," Roberta's hand flew to her mouth. "She said that to you," she whispered, eyes wide, "right in front of Malik. And he agreed." Leonard's face turned dark. "We didn't raise her like that." "I'm sure you didn't," I said. "But comfort breeds entitlement." They were both quiet for a long time. "What would it take to fix this?" Roberta finally asked. "Not just the permits, the family. Is there any way?" I looked at her and sighed. Some things break too deep to be glued back together. This isn't just a misunderstanding. This was character revealed. Leonard nodded slowly. "So what happens now?" "Now," they decide. Either sell and start over with that equity, or try to fix a mess they created. The baby will be fine. But they need to learn what it means to lose something valuable, not just property, but people. As they stood to leave, Leonard turned to me at the door. "For what it's worth, Denise, you're doing the right thing. We'll be having a serious talk with our daughter." Monday morning came with steady rain and a call I didn't expect. "Denise, it's Calvin Harmon. We've got a complication." I put my book down. "What kind of complication?" "The city received a complaint about our development project. Someone's claiming we're using pressure tactics to force people out of their homes." I blinked. "From who?" "Leonard Carter," he said flatly. "Kayla's father. Turns out he used to be on the city planning committee a few years back. He still has friends inside." My heart sank. "I can explain." "You'll need to," Calvin said. "They're opening a review. City's requesting interviews with everyone involved. That includes you." The summer Zion and Nia graduated, Crestwood held its annual honors gala, a black tie event where the top students were celebrated like royalty. It was the kind of night built on applause and quiet pride. The kind of night that once would have belonged to Cassandra. But this year it belonged to me. Zion was named Innovator of the Year for his solar-powered roof conversion system. Nia was honored with the Black Literary Vision Award, her poems now published in 3 national anthologies. As I sat in the front row, not hidden, not hushed, I watched them take the stage. My name was on the donor list. My foundation was on the banner. My love was in every seat they'd earned. When Nia took the mic, she surprised everyone. "I want to dedicate this award," she said, voice steady, "to the woman who reminded me that truth doesn't need permission. My grandmother, Marlene Thomas." The room fell quiet for a moment. Then the applause came, long and loud. Even Principal Hamilton, always composed, wiped a tear from his cheek. Later that night, I stood alone in the garden behind the school, watching lanterns float above the trees. Zion found me first. "You okay?" he asked. I nodded. "I'm more than okay. I'm proud." He adjusted his tie and grinned. "You're proud of me, or of the solar engine?" "Both. But mostly of the man you're becoming." "Thanks for showing up," he said. "Even when it was hard." "I'll always show up," I said. "Even if it's from the sidelines." Then Nia came out, heels in her hand, eyes soft from the glow of the lanterns. "I have something for you," she said. She handed me a small, hand-bound book. It was a poetry chapbook she'd printed herself. On the inside cover, in careful handwriting, it read, "For the woman who taught me silence isn't strength. Intention is." I closed the book slowly, holding back tears. "You're going to change the world," I said to her. She smirked. "So will you. You already are." The next week, we gathered at my newly finished estate, a sprawling, sun-drenched property nestled in Crestwood's East Ridge. There were 10 bedrooms, a library wing, an amphitheater, and a massive greenhouse out back. But it wasn't the house that mattered. It was the table. A long, mahogany dining table carved by black artisans from the South. I had it placed right in the heart of the open-concept kitchen, not tucked away for guests, but right where the family would live. I cooked that day. Smothered turkey wings, candied yams, collard greens with smoked turkey neck, and sweet tea made with fresh mint from the garden. Terrence arrived first. No Cassandra. I didn't ask why. He hugged me long and tight, not out of guilt, but out of gratitude. We said no words that needed to be said out loud. Sometimes healing isn't a conversation. It's a presence. Then Zion and Nia came, carrying plates and books and stories. They ran their fingers across the countertops like they were reclaiming something. Home. After dinner, we sat outside around the fire pit, the city lights below flickering like a constellation of second chances. Nia leaned her head against my shoulder. Zion toasted his glass of sparkling cider. "To family," he said. We clinked glasses. "To truth," Nia added. Then Terrence, voice thick, said, "To the ones who never stopped loving us, even when we weren't ready to love them back." There was silence after that. Not the kind that hurts, the kind that heals. In the weeks that followed, my foundation expanded. More scholarships, more mentorships, more rooms where forgotten Black brilliance could rise without asking for permission. But that was only part of the story. The real legacy lived at that table, where Nia brought her first published book to share, where Zion fixed the water heater without being asked, where Terrence laughed, really laughed, for the first time in years. You see, I spent 14 years in exile, erased from the story I helped write. But I learned something in the silence. Family isn't who claims you. It's who chooses you, again and again, with open hands and open hearts. I chose my grandchildren. I chose my son. And eventually they chose me back. Not because they had to. Because they finally understood. Love doesn't come with conditions. It comes with courage. And I had more than enough of that to go around.